Hey guys, welcome back to your girl's channel. It's your girl Crystal and I am back with another video. So in today's video, your girl is finally bringing you guys one of the two story times that I promised during the summer. I know these are long overdue, but as obviously you know, your girl was pregnant. I've officially had the baby and everything. I got a delivery vlog coming for you guys. But I just wanted to finally get this film for you guys. It was supposed to be done a while back, but of course things happen, life happens, all of that stuff. So your girl's getting to it now. So I finally have a little bit of time right now, so I just wanted to come in and film this for you guys. Hopefully I remember everything, because I wanted to do this right when it happened while everything was fresh in my head, but it's been a few months, so hopefully I remember the details, and this story time is just as good as if I were to film it when I came back from my trip from Florida. But either way, before we get into the video, make sure you're subscribed to your girl's channel. For those of you guys who are new, my name's Crystal and I do beauty videos, I do vlog reviews, bunch of different things. I'm slowly gonna start transitioning into the whole motherhood thing, because your girl just became a mom. So definitely, if you're interested in videos like that, you should definitely subscribe to your girl's channel. Make sure you give today's video a thumbs up, and without further ado, because you guys have waited long enough, let's get into the Motel from Hell story time. Where do I begin with this story time? So for those of you guys who are probably new and probably don't know what your girl's referring to, I went to Florida on vacation, on a family vacation this summer. So I definitely have two vlogs up of the trip, but just to kind of get some of you guys up to speed on the story time your girl is about to give right now. When we went to Florida, we were originally supposed to stay at our family's house. So it was a lot of us. We all went to Florida. Some went ahead of time, and then we decided to join them and go to Florida. But the problem was, we went there around 4th of July and every freaking hotel was booked. Obviously, you know, at first this wasn't originally planned. There was no plan to go to Florida. We decided to go. It was sort of a last minute decision thing, and we didn't get to book a hotel prior because we had an Airbnb, but the Airbnb, we were supposed to check into the Airbnb, let's say Monday, but we arrived in Florida Saturday, right? So we basically, let's say, had 2 nights without the Airbnb because, you know, we didn't book it until that Monday. So we had to stay somewhere, you know, before we got into the Airbnb. So this is where this motel thing comes in. I'm trying to remember exactly what hotel we stayed at, but I believe it's a Days Inn. And I mean, years ago, when I lived with my sister, we used to take my nephews to like Sesame Place, stuff like that, and we've stayed in a Days Inn, and I don't remember it being this horrible. But this motel was terrible, really, like terrible. And you know, we were only there for, I don't want to lie, we were only there for either 1 night or 2 nights. Like I said, guys, I mean, this was in the summer, so I kind of don't recall all of the details. So bear with me if my story seems a little off. But we only were supposed to stay there 1 night. But let me just tell you guys, break this down for you guys, how this happened. So we got to Florida, flight was good, everything like that. Mind you, remember, your girl was 7 months pregnant when she traveled. No, actually I made 7 months when I got to Florida. After that trip, for sure, like, I couldn't travel anywhere anymore. But we didn't land till like really late because our flight was delayed. So by the time we got to Florida, it was like almost 10 o'clock, 10:30, around there. And like I said, we didn't book a hotel ahead of time. The plan was to stay with family who were already in Florida but they were in an Airbnb, and I don't know if you're familiar with Airbnbs, but they have a lot of rules based on the owner or whatever the case may be. There's always house rules which you have to follow, and for their house they had a limit requirement on the number of people that could sleep in the house. So obviously you can have people coming in and out, hanging with you during the day, but at nighttime, if the maximum amount of people allowed in the house is 13, then there should only be 13 people sleeping in the house at night. So originally, you know, the plan was to have, me and my mother-in-law went ahead of time. Hubby was supposed to meet us with my sister-in-law and his grandmother a day or two after. So me and my mother-in-law went 2 days early because, you know, hubby has things going on and he couldn't leave that day. So the plan was to have me and my mother-in-law stay with the family for those prior 2 nights, or whatever the case it was, prior to all of us moving into our Airbnb. Like I said, like for example, that Monday. But it so happened that that couldn't work anymore with us staying with them. So when we got to Florida, literally they were like, since they were already in Florida, they were kind of like going crazy trying to find us a hotel to stay in until we moved into our Airbnb. But because it was 4th of July weekend, practically every single thing was booked. So the only thing that they came across was the Days Inn, and we didn't mind staying in there because it was only for a night or two, and then we would be in our Airbnb comfortable and everything. So when we got there 10:30, 11 o'clock, we got to the house, all of that, hung out with the family for a little while. The Days Inn was booked, and we had a friend of theirs drive us to the Days Inn to drop off our suitcases and everything. We get there, regular thing, you know, you had to pay the deposit, whatever the case was. So paid the deposit, we got there, got a key, went to the room, happy to put our shit down. We were gonna go right back to the family's house. You know, they had the pool, all of that stuff. You know, we just got on vacay, so we want to chill. Get to the damn room. One, it was nighttime, so we ain't really look at the Days Inn. I'm not paying attention to it. I know we ain't gonna stay there, so you know, it was decent, like I said. But there's like a big drastic change from when you go from decent to just like crazy unacceptable. So we get to the actual place. We walk up. The place was looking hella sketchy. I just remember us walking up the stairs. Mind you, there was an elevator. At first it didn't look like there was an elevator, and it just didn't look presentable at all. It looked really ghetto and hood. Like, I know projects that don't even look like that, and that's how that motel looked. Then we get upstairs. There's a guy who obviously was staying in a room there also, but was on the balcony, and no lie, his entire demeanor threw me off. It just seemed like it was not safe. I didn't want to be there. It was just super sketchy. Like, we were coming up with the suitcases, and then he's looking, and it just felt weird. But like I said, it was me, my mother-in-law, and hubby's uncle. It was the 3 of us who traveled together, and we had a guy with us, so it was pretty good, whatever. But mind you, remember, your girl was pregnant. I'm exhausted. So at this point, and it was just the whole situation of the flight, of it being delayed, all of this craziness. We were supposed to arrive during the day. We ended up arriving at night. Your girl was super tired. So I decided, you know, that I was not going to go back to the family's house. I was gonna stay and relax and rest and relax myself. So first we go with the key to open the door, and guess what? The door will not open with the key. All right, things happen, you know, no big deal, you know, we can fix that. So the family friend that we had who drove us, he's like, okay, obviously I'm pregnant, I have a freaking suitcase, my mother-in-law is another female, you know, he was nice enough to say, okay, I'll go back down and see what's going on. Go back down, we get another key. This time, okay, much better. We get in the room, but we put the suitcases down, everything. Like I said, your girl was tired, so I decided I was not gonna go back with them. They're like, oh, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna stay in here, even though it was a little sketchy, even though, like, you know, I really wasn't comfortable in staying. But I'm like, yo, as long as I lock the doors, you know, put the latch on everything. Your girl should be good. I shouldn't have no problems. So I'm like, okay, boom. So my mother-in-law and my husband's uncle left with the family friend. They drove back. I stood. So as I'm in the room, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna take a shower tonight. I'm real tired. I'm just gonna put my pajamas on, relax, and then I'll shower in the morning, blah blah blah. So I look, the floor, no lie, this fucking room looked like somebody had just checked out of it and they did not get to clean the room. So one, you give us a key, the fucking key don't open the door, right? We cut you some slack on that, all right? Because we super tired. We shouldn't even have to deal with this nonsense at this time. But it's all right. You give us another key. We get in the room. We finally get in the room. But now, what is all this nonsense? It looked like there were chips on the floor. Like somebody was eating chips, fell on the floor, all of that. You could tell they didn't sweep the floor. On top of that, one of the beds were not made. And mind you, I have pictures. I have a small video, and I have... and the bed that was not made, so I'll insert those so you guys can see. But one of the beds was not made, so basically the sheets, everything were laid out on the bed like they wanted they wanted us to make the fucking bed. There was chips and the floor was disgusting. Like, I traveled, I believe, if I remember correctly, I traveled with slippers. Literally put my foot on the floor and there was stuff all under my foot. It was terrible, and I was just like, are you serious? Like, I understand, like, you're a motel or whatever the case, but why does it have to be this horrible experience? So mind you, I'm already by myself in the room. I'm sure as hell not going downstairs to complain, and not after we just had to go downstairs and get another key and switch rooms altogether. So I'm like, okay, whatever, I'll just make the bed at this point because I'm by myself. My mother-in-law and my husband's uncle, they left, you know, to go back to the family's house to chill. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're not gonna come back till like 1, 2 in the morning. So whatever. So around like 3 o'clock in the morning, obviously your girl finally fell asleep. I changed into my pajamas, got under the bed. You know, I was a little sketchy even getting in the bed. You know, I kind of looked around, whatever. Then I remember when we were checking in, they were like, oh, dial 0 if you need anything. Your girl picked up the receiver, dead. The receiver don't work. I'm like, what is going on? What is this place? I was so in shock. But at the end of the day, I'm like, yo, I ain't gonna need nothing from them because everything's been horrible since we got here. Everything's been horrible. I'm not gonna need to dial 0 and call y'all for nothing. I'm pretty sure it's just gonna make everything worse. So I get in the bed, the TV was working. I'm not gonna lie, I had the volume a little low because I knew I was there by myself, and I was like, I don't even want to alert anybody that there's anybody in this room because that's how shady and how like uncomfortable it was being there. But at this point we had no choice. You're talking about it's almost midnight and there's no other hotels. Like, literally everything is booked. Like, we had no choice but to stay there. So I finally fall asleep, and I put on the that extra latch. So when it was around 3 a.m. My mother-in-law and my husband's uncle finally got back to the room. So I heard the knocking because, you know, your girl's a light sleeper. Got up, took the chain out, let them in. At this point, I'm up, you know, because they're back. I'm like, oh, what the house look like, you know, did you guys have a good time? Did you guys get in the pool? Blah, 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 you know, having all this conversation. My husband's uncle decides he wants to take a shower. Mind you, when I got in the room, I used the toilet, but, you know, I didn't pay mind to the shower or anything like that. He goes in the bathroom to take a shower, and guess what? The freaking water does not work. There's no water in the shower. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, nah, this is not for real. This is not for real. Like, nah, it can't be. So they're like, so my mother-in-law looks at me. She said, oh, did you take a shower? I said, no, I was too tired to take a shower. I just changed my pajamas, got in the bed. I said, why? What happened? She said, oh, the water's not working. I said, what you mean? What do you mean the water's not working? I said, well, I used the toilet. I didn't go in the shower at all. She's like, yeah, the water's not working. My mother-in-law flipped out. She was like, oh no, get the fuck out of here. What do you mean the water's not working? She's like, no, we going downstairs. She's gonna go back down to the desk and complain. I'm like, I'm not surprised at this point. I'm like, the floor is dirty. I said, look, they didn't make the bed. When they came back, the bed was made, but that's because I did it. I'm 7 months pregnant, and I'm fucking doing your job. So what the hell are we paying for this room for, that I had to make the bed? So I told her that. She was like, oh, and you made the bed? She went downstairs. She was like, oh, no, this is unacceptable. Mind you, it's 3 a.m. 3 a.m. So I stood in the room. She went down with my husband's uncle. And my mother-in-law is livid and like super pissed. She's like, oh, first you guys give us a key for the first room that we couldn't get in the room. You guys give us a second key. We moved to a second room. Now it's 3 a.m. We came to use the shower. The shower doesn't work. My daughter-in-law is 7 months pregnant. The bed wasn't made. She had to make the bed. This is unacceptable. At this point, I really would have wanted a discount. I don't even think she cared about it at this point. It was just like, come on, it's super inconvenient that all of this shit is happening, and we just came from a long ass flight, and we're tired and exhausted, and we shouldn't have to go through all of this. So then I'm sitting in the room waiting for them to come back. She finally comes back, and she's like, oh, we gotta switch rooms. 3 a.m. in the morning, I gotta fucking, mind you, I already like took my toothbrush out. I hung up my stuff that I had on, my suitcases there. Didn't get too comfortable because, like I said, the room was terrible. But still, you know, there were certain things, you know, you had to lay out, like your toothbrush, deodorant, stuff you're gonna need, you know what I mean? Had to pack all that shit back because we had to fucking move to another room at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm already half asleep because I was sleeping already. I'm in pajamas. I'm 7 months pregnant, and we have to pick every fucking thing up and move to another room. Like crazy, like really like crazy. So we moved to another room. Thankfully, that room was better, but still, that just ruined our whole experience. The whole experience was terrible. And I just remember us leaving and me having to call an Uber, and I was so freaking happy that we were getting out of this place. So in the morning, packed up everything. We were happy to go. The other room was decent. I will say the AC was banging. I'm not gonna lie. And if you know me, I need the AC. I can't be hot when I'm sleeping. I want a blanket, but I need the AC on. So it was like perfect in the room, temperature wise. It looked way more decent. The beds were made, you know, the water was working, everything. But that didn't even matter at that point. We were just so upset, and from the experience before that, nothing at that point could make it any better. We were already at our wits end. But I just remember when we were leaving that I was so happy to call the Uber. They had free breakfast apparently, but it really was just orange juice, and they had these little muffins. I mean, decent, but whatever. I mean, I'm not expecting, you know, a 5-star meal from you after the freaking encounter I just had. So breakfast, I could care less at this point. But I took a video on our way out because in the daytime you could really see the place even better. They had a pool. The pool was on the outside, but let me tell y'all how disgusting that pool was. The whole pool area was disgusting. Nobody would go in that pool. That's one. Like, they don't even keep it tidy, none of that. But I'm gonna insert the video right now so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Just want to show them this. Let me tell y'all, worst hotel experience I've ever had. Motel from hell. Like, no lie, I couldn't wait to tell you guys about this because it was super ridiculous. But thank God we were finally able to get to our Airbnb. But that's a whole other story in itself, because the Airbnb experience was good, but that's a whole other story time. Because let me tell you what, some shit happened at the Airbnb too. And let me just tell y'all, this trip, I'm not gonna lie, it was great. It was a great time with family and everything. But I don't know, maybe we were just not meant to travel. But it was just like a horrible experience after the next. So the Airbnb, that's another story time. Okay, that story time is gonna come next, because some shady shit happened with that shit too, let me just tell you. So I'm definitely gonna film that one for you guys. Stay tuned for that video, but definitely give today's video a thumbs up. Let me just tell y'all, it's like, and I'm a little bit mad because I felt like we should have booked a hotel before we were leaving, but everything was so super last minute that it's really nobody's fault, to be honest. But had we like really picked a hotel prior, like I would have went ham on the reviews, I would have went ham on the pictures, all of that stuff. But we didn't get to do that because it was last minute. So lesson learned, no last minute trips. Shit is gonna be booked ahead of time, you know what I mean? Definitely learned from this, but let me know in the comment section below if you've had anything like this happen to you, because this was terrible. Like that was the worst experience. I've never had that happen to me before, but you know, it's a first time for everything. But yeah, definitely don't want that shit happening to me again. But I'm just happy that I finally was able to explain to you guys and let you guys know what happened. But yeah, give today's video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to your girl's channel for more story times. I got some other lit story times on my channel, so I'll link those above for you guys so you could check out my other story times there. But stay tuned for the next one. I love you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye guys.